Good evening, this is Eswatini TV News at 8, read to you by myself, Natilesi Tole, alongside Zamanzi Manze. First up, let's have a look at our top stories. The Ministry of Health, alongside the Ministry of Education, will soon start a vaccination exercise in schools countrywide. The Minister for Agriculture has launched the Gamieni Chiefdom Development Plan. Business Eswatini has intervened in the labor relations challenges that have engulfed Southern Star Company. The news. The Ministry of Health will soon be deploying teams to support schools' health teams in a vaccination exercise in all schools around the country. This was announced by the Minister of Health, Lizinkosi, in a press briefing held at Cabinet offices on Thursday.
Last week, the Prime Minister, Cleopas Dlamini, announced that all classes will resume lessons on Wednesday. Speaking during a press briefing held at Cabinet offices on Thursday, the Minister of Health, Lizinkosi, announced that the Ministry of Health will soon be deploying teams to support schools' health teams in performing the vaccination exercise in schools.
You will all recall that all school classes reopened this week. We are pleased to announce that the Ministry of Health will soon be deploying teams to support school health teams in performing vaccination exercises in schools. The Ministry has been working closely with the Ministry of Education, who have already requested the head teachers to encourage eligible students to register in readiness for this exercise. We would like to encourage other community members, particularly out-of-school youth, older people, to also come vaccinate at sites nearest to them on the vaccination days.
The minister further assured the Eswatini on the safety of the COVID-19 vaccine, saying they went through thorough research. Currently, about 170,000 Eswatini are fully vaccinated for COVID-19. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samkel Swekoza with Muslim Konta Mabane.
The Minister of Agriculture, Jabulani Mabuza, has launched the Gamieni Chiefdom Development Plan. The Minister says the Chiefdom seeks to have schools and clinics closer to the people, something that is in line with the Sustainable Development Goals.
On Thursday at Gamieni Chiefdom, the Minister of Agriculture, Jabulani Mabuza, officially launched a Gamieni Chiefdom Development Plan. The development plan's vision is that by the year 2026, Gamieni be a highly developed and independent community, adequately furnished with a reliable infrastructure, characterized by high levels of tourism and education in a safe and secured environment.
It is indeed an honor to stand here today and be part of a community that has a vision which is not only aligned to their personal needs, but one which is also aligned to the national development strategies and plans. I also recognize that the activities highlighted in the CDP adhere to the Sustainable Development Goals, and they clearly highlight participation from different age groups, which includes men, women, and the youth from the community.
Acting Chief of Gamieni Chiefdom, David Mieni, extended their gratitude towards the Ministry of Agriculture for having to advise and help them come up with the development plan. The Minister of Economic Planning, who is also the Member of Parliament at Lubulini constituency, Dr. Tambo Kina, says having a development plan is the right step towards developing.
The
minister says the plan's vision will be achieved through high levels of commitment and dedication. Reporting, I am Tembelihle Makuchwa with Temba Shabangwe Nsubane.
Since April this year, the Office of the Ombudsman of Financial Services received 40 complaints and 204 queries from the public. This was said by Ombudsman of Financial Services, Nondumiso Simelani.
Ombudsman at the Ombudsman of Financial Services, Nondumiso Smelane, says from the month of April up until this month, the office has received about 40 complaints and 204 queries.
As of today, and before you walked in, we had received about 203, I think, queries since the year, and the year having started in April. We have our financial year with government, so it's not since January, it's since April. 203, I think, and then the formally registered complaints, we have so far received 40.
The Ombudsman also unpacked the kind of complaints considered by her office.
The complaints categories or types that we actually look at in the Office of the Ombudsman of Financial Services, broadly I'll say, they are all those ones for which the Office of the Financial Services Regulatory Authority, FSRA, exists to regulate and supervise. I want to say that they will include your retirement complaints, and with retirement complaints we refer to both provident funds as well as pension funds and preservation funds, or everything else that gets to be a fund in the subject of retirement. We consider those. We also look at complaints relating to insurance, and insurance would include your short-term insurance as well as your long-term insurance, your motor vehicle, household, all sorts of insurance, and your life assurances or life covers, and we also look at funeral covers as well, any complaint that arises within that space.
Nondumiso then clarified that acceptable complaints are those of companies and societies regulated by the Financial Services Regulatory Authority, FSRA. She also explained that services of the Ombudsman are free of charge for a complainant. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samgal Suyokoza with Fumiko Sinsinisa, Babane.
Business Eswatini CEO Nathi Dlamini says dialogue between any parties having differences can settle their problems. He was speaking at Southern Star Company, where they had gone to intervene on the ongoing internal company problems.
Media houses had a tour in Southern Star Company in Matsapa, where they were also taken through the operations of the company, including the recently towed truck belonging to the company. There is also a misunderstanding going on between management and staff of Southern Star, which led to Business Eswatini and Tukoswa being invited to intervene and mediate between the two. Business Eswatini CEO Nathi Dlamini says they were happy to be invited and encouraged dialogues between those concerned.
I have come here with the leadership of Tukoswa Gainer to try to find a common solution to what was a special problem in this place. The union and management, they were not seeing eye to eye on a certain issue, and we thought it was quite an extremely big issue, but it's not. It's something small. So we've had an opportunity with Tukoswa today to sit and advise them and to try to bring them together.
Dudu Zikina, the acting Secretary General of Tukoswa, says they gave them a deadline to work on their differences.
It's the role and the functions of the Federation to always intervene where there are labor disputes that could result into the disruption of the function of the economy. And we have been here with Business Eswatini to make sure that there should not be any kind of disruptions on issues that can easily be attended to in between employers and management. We are hopeful that ultimately the parties will find each other after the counsel that we have given them, and we have set a deadline of the Friday of the coming week for them to have found each other or to have completed some kind of a report that will then be ultimately sent to both Business Eswatini and Tukoswa for further advice.
Internal investigations are ongoing concerning the recently towed truck. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCB, Matsapa.
Normal to above normal rains can't be expected this summer season. The Meteorology Department had a meeting with stakeholders, including the National Disaster Management Agency, where they discussed the seasonal focus for the summer season.
As we are approaching the summer season and of course the rainy weather, the National Disaster Management Agency had a meeting with its stakeholders to discuss the seasonal outlook of the summer season. The director of the Early Warning Unit in the National Disaster Management Agency, Eric Sayama, says it is vital to meet and discuss at length the summer season and its possible disasters.
So normally when the season starts, the Met Department prepares a forecast, maybe a prognosis for the coming season. So we are gathered here to listen to Met giving out that statement so that it informs our preparedness plans as the National Disaster Management Agency, so that we are able to prepare and be able to and be ready to respond to the possible risks and hazards that come with the summer season in the country.
Sifiso Nzalo, a weather forecaster, says normal to above normal rainfalls can be expected this summer season.
We are expecting normal rains throughout the country, but then there's those prospects that we find that the rains may be slightly above than what we normally receive during that period, especially starting with the first half of the season, which is October to December. We're expecting that rains will be normal with a bias of above. But then we know that the rainfall is variable throughout the country. It's not, we don't get the same amounts of rains. Where you find that, for example, the western part of the country, that's where you find that we receive most rains. But then as you go to the lower, especially the southeastern parts of the country, we find that we don't receive that much. When we're talking about normal in those areas, we find that we're getting like within that period of October to December, we get something like 200 millimeters or so, where we find that it cannot be favorable for some crops and so on. So
these stakeholders will update the nation from time to time on any possible changes in the weather forecast as we are entering the summer season. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCV at the Hilton Garden Inn in Mbabane.
The Meteorology Department had a meeting with stakeholders on strengthening climate change transparency issues and its programs and areas of improvement. The meeting was held at the Hilton Hotel in Mbabane.
Today we are launching a project that is being supported by the UN Office for Project Support under an initiative for climate action transparency, which we normally refer to as ICAT. Under this program, we will be working on improving transparency with regards to data and information coming on from various sectors. Under the adaptation program, we will be concentrating on the health and we will be concentrating on the health and water sectors, and for the mitigation program we'll be concentrating on the energy and on the agriculture, forestry and land use sectors. We believe that strengthening transparency under these programs will give us more information that will help us better inform sustainable development in the country and also improve our reporting on our climate change programs at international level.
As recommended by the World Health Organization, the Ministry of Health is in the process of transitioning HIV-positive patients from using efavirenz 600 to efavirenz 400. National Art Coordinator at SNAP, Dr. Advocate Dlamini, says patients using the efavirenz 600 developed effects such as insomnia and being irritable.
Last year, the World Health Organization issued a recommendation that countries must transition HIV-positive patients from using efavirenz 600 milligrams to efavirenz 400 milligrams. National Art Coordinator at the Eswatini National AIDS Program, SNAP, Dr. Advocate Dlamini, says patients using efavirenz 600 develop negative effects such as insomnia and being irritable.
As the Ministry of Health, particularly Eswatini National AIDS Program, to declare and share news that as of the 27th of July this year, 2021, the Ministry of Health together with WHO, it came up with a recommendation that all patients that are taking a efavirenz-based regimen, they are supposed now to change and to take efavirenz 400 as opposed to 600. What efavirenz 600 was doing, but also very much highly tolerable, which means that tolerability is very high in terms of efavirenz 400 as opposed to efavirenz 600. What is known is that every patient who's taking efavirenz would report in one or the other. Based on research, people will be seen reporting elements of the CNS side effects, one of which irritability, and secondly, the issues of insomnia, which somebody not able to sleep. So that recommendation came in so handy to us to help us in terms of curbing side effects that goes with our antiretroviral therapy as a country. So we welcome that kind of.
According to the Ministry of Health report, 204,000 HIV positive Eswatini are taking art, with 31,000 of them using efavirenz 600. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samkal Suekoza with Fumiko Sinsinisa Babane.
And now we'll have an ad break, followed by a look at our financial markets.
Hallelujah.
Kuyintokoto ukuthi sikulethele umcimbi wokusukunyiswa kwesikhwama se-Reconstruction Fund. Lesibusiswe silo inkosi Mswati wesithathu. Hlangana nathi emsakatweni wetithombe ngeSonto esekushaya insimbi yesibili ntambama.
Lesikhwama lesitobusiswa namuhla sesivele sibusisiwe bekunene.
I therefore declare that the Reconstruction Fund has been blessed.
Emasiko nemihambo angithi thina Maswati. Imbali ilicapho lethu thina Maswati.
Ngiyakhuthata imbali yonke ukuthi sichubeke sitiphathe kahle, inhlonipho ihlala ihamba embili njengoba emakhosi ethu ahlala asitshela. Nekuthi nebetempilo badlale basitshela onke amalanga ukuthi sichubeke sigeze izandla ngaso sonke isikhathi, sichubeke sivule tikhala emikhathisini kwethu, sitinakekele kwananathi, utithanze nje ungisisi, uhlale uclean, utithanze wena kuqala.
Hlanganyela nathi emsakatweni wetithombe iEswatini TV nasikulethela umkhosi wemhlanga wa 2021 nasekushaya insimbi yokucala emini ngemgcibelo.
Welcome back. Before we proceed, let's have a look at our financial markets. Good evening once again. You are still watching Eswatini TV. Let's have a look at our sports news. Association, or rather Eswatini Olympic Commonwealth Games Association Acting Chief Executive Officer Maxwell Jele says the new offices of the association will be completed next year. Jele says they are expecting to receive financial aid worth 1.4 million emalangeni from the African Olympic Committee to assist in the completion of the offices. Jele was speaking to Eswatini TV Sports at Lobamba.
Last year, the Eswatini Olympic Commonwealth Games Association received a fund worth around 600,000 emarangeni from the International Olympic Committee in supporting the construction of the new offices. According to the Acting Chief Executive Officer Maxwell Jele, the financial support from International Olympic Committee did go a long way.
Kusoke lesakhiwo mhlawumbe lesikutholako noma lokuvelako lokuphuma kuye i-professional team lefa ekhathi bonjinela nabo bo-architect.
Jele says the completion of the offices will be next year as they await for another financial injection that will come from the African Olympic Committee that is estimated to be around 1.4 million emarangeni.
Sikhulumisana nabo baka IOC kubavetela nje nalokubukisana ukuthi le budget mhlambe yekuqala lesayenda ekuqaleni sekubonakele nyalo lokuthi le mali angeke ikhona lokuthi isithathe yosifikisa egcineni.
Jele says if all goes accordingly, they will receive the funds at the beginning of the upcoming year. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Mbabane.
Royal Leopard head coach Edwin Matebula says they are aware of Zesco United's strengths ahead of their first leg Champions League encounter on Saturday on home soil. Our reporter Fabrice Msonera has more.
Royal Leopard continue with the preparations of the CAF Champions League preliminary round against Zesco United from Zambia. The team is currently training at Galanga Stadium in Stegi. Team coach Edwin Matsebura says he has watched their opponents on few occasions.
From video clips.
He says Zesco as a team, they do carry a lot of threats going forward. But also he says that as a team, they also have got some threats that they can use in their game on Saturday.
Otherwise, the quality they have, I think we can match them.
Key players Muzi Dlamini and Sfiso Matse are confident that they will get good results. Matse says that the technical bench has helped them in understanding their opponents.
They are working as a team. Sina clips avo la besi babuka kona play avo badlala as a team bakuti kuya forward.
While for Dlamini, he has himself watched Zesco a few times and he has seen their strengths and their weaknesses.
So matters are quick. Quick and bayakona lokuwenda lama of the ball runs. So tsine kwethu ukuthi sibavimbe lokuthi bangakhona ukuthi bawashaya kakhulu ngalakule half yangakethu.
The game will be played this coming Saturday at the Mafso Sports Center, Manzini. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Stegi.
That's all for now. Before we conclude, let's have a look at our top stories. The Ministry of Health, alongside the Ministry of Education, will soon start a vaccination exercise in schools countrywide. The Minister for Agriculture has launched the Gamieni Chiefdom Development Plan. Business Eswatini has intervened in the labor relations challenges that have engulfed Southern Star Company. And with that, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update from myself and the team at Eswatini TV. Thanks for watching. Good night.